Not so long ago, this channel passed the 1,000,000 subscribers milestone. At various subscriber milestones in the past, I've made some ornament or object to mark the occasion, but this time it's a different kind of celebration. One thing that's changed since the last major milestone is the rise and blossoming of the official Atomic Shrimp Discord server. It's a friendly place full of lovely people, and I've seen a lot of creativity from the helpful people there, and they've steered me out of making stupid mistakes at least once or twice. So for the 1,000,000 subs event, I thought it would be fun to celebrate and showcase that creativity and enthusiasm with a competition. Well, two competitions actually. The first was to create a 1,000,000 subscribers celebratory recipe, and the other was open to all other kinds of creative artistry. Again, on a celebratory or 1,000,000 subscribers theme. I'll be attempting to make the winning recipe in this video, but we'll look at all of the submissions in detail, including shoutouts for the entrants who wanted that. There were 3 prize-winning places for each competition, which we'll get to in a moment, but here are the runners-up of the food competition, and I feel like I should just say there will be no shame for coming in last places in these contests. The only way to really lose is not to play at all. So, starter, main and dessert, a concept suggestion by DogShirt, with the starter comprising caviar on blinis with sour cream and gold leaf. By the way, we had decided that the recipe-related side of the competition would be split into actual recipes and things that were just more like concepts. The bare concepts not being eligible for one of the top 3 prize places, but more than welcome to join in and play for fun and honourable mention and credit if desired. Confession time, I'm not sure I've ever actually eaten gold leaf, but thank you, DogShirt. George Kelly suggested topping the winning dish with one individual piece of the confectionery known as millions, so I would literally have 1,000,000. Purple being the best colour, of course. This one is an anonymous submission of a vintage ad for 7-Up and milk. This is apparently a real serving suggestion that appeared in promotional material for the drink around about 1950. Now, this isn't an original recipe created for the competition, but we never specified that as a rule. In fact, we avoided that because it would have excluded people from submitting a cherished family recipe or a favourite or something like that. And besides, how original are most modern recipes really? Anyway, I'm glad I didn't promise to make and taste every recipe in the competition because 7-Up and milk sounds more like a prank than a good idea. Pretty sure you'll get a glass of chunky, fizzy curds with that mixture. Maybe the trick or treat thing is a hint that this is a Halloween prank or something? I don't mean to be unkind, but I am ever so slightly glad this one didn't win. Another anonymous submission titled the fruit loaf recipe that time forgot, or, as titled on the page, Belgian loaf, or, as described by the contestant, an ingot of crumbly, fruity happiness. This looks like it shares some commonality with a boiled fruit cake, but proportions of ingredients are going to make this one a bit more bready than cakey. It looks really good. I might have to give this a try sometime, but I particularly like that this is a cherished old recipe that was probably handed down. I sometimes find clippings like this one between the pages of old second-hand cookbooks, and it's always a treat just to see them. Next, Hit or Miss by Lewke, subtitled My Sister's Weird Sandwich. She loves watching the cooking content, and this is a simple sandwich of thick white bread, buttered and spread with smooth peanut butter and small chunk Branston pickle, with the specific recipe guidance to cut into whatever shape most annoys the people in the comments, which is a detail that made me chuckle. I'm not sure what I think of the combination of pickle and peanut butter, or indeed the choice of smooth peanut butter at all, but I am all for self-determination, so this entry gets a special award that I made up just right now called the You Do You Certificate of Merit. Next, Tuna-Macaroni Casserole by SivleFred, or SivleFred. I hope I pronounced that somewhere in the vicinity of correct. Looks to be a really hearty comfort dish of macaroni and cheese with a generous addition of tuna, topped with crispy, cheesy baked breadcrumb crust, spiced with onion and garlic powder, pepper, mustard and curry. I think this sounds like a really tasty dish. Next, Mom's American Pastitsio by Rozsty. And again, we've got a really hearty and comforting recipe here. Similar ingredients to what I would call lasagna, but with the pasta sheets replaced by layers of macaroni in a thick cheese sauce that's enriched with egg yolks. Again, interesting spices, cinnamon and cloves in the meat sauce. This really does sound like a superb recipe, and don't forget to let it sit for 10 minutes because something napalm. Another concept now from justjohno, and this one is an attempt to think of a thing that could be eaten in a count of 1,000,000 in a small dish. So the concept is to make something using pollen. The suggestion was an ice cream made with 1,000,000 grains of pollen. I'll let you know when I'm done counting. Next, Celebration of 1,000,000 by Proc. This time it's a beverage, banana milkshake made even more banana with the addition of banana-flavoured millions blended into the mix. I do actually love that sort of artificial or extracted banana flavour that you get in confectionery, so this sounds, to me, really Moorish. Don't tell my dentist. Next, a simple shrimp omelette on rice infused with wild garlic butter by Genstendo64. Perhaps the shortest recipe of the bunch, but sometimes less is more. Shrimp omelette on garlic butter rice. Simple, shrimple, sign me up. Shrimpy Bacon Alfredo by Lady Lexi Starwatcher. A video recipe submission. I'll just show the highlights here.
Making shrimp for shrimp Alfredo. So we're adding Old Bay, and we've been trying to think of a good way to make it British. And all I can think of, show them, Scout. Focus, please. Take it further away. Worcester sauce, or Worcester sauce you can put away now. It's bacon time.
We also need garlic.
Yes. Goes in there. Plate. Go on.
Link in the description and cards so you can watch the whole video on Lady Lexi's own channel if you want. And looking out of my studio window today, as I'm writing and recording this script, it's wet and windy and cold outside. And do you know what? Cheesy bacon and shrimp pasta sounds pretty nice right now. I might make this for lunch, just not with the camera rolling. Foraging fun concepts from Off-Roader Cat comprising wild garlic bread, nettle gnocchi, and a dandelion and elderflower infused syrup with panna cotta. I like the sound of all of those. Next, a million is beer worthy. Anonymous submission for an ESB, that is extra special bitter, which is a style of pale ale. Submitted as a screenshot of a spreadsheet, which I know you know I like. I've made beer using various shortcuts and quick methods in the past, but I've never actually brewed using a completely authentic and traditional method like this, and as a result, I've missed out on the opportunity to talk about Maris Otter malt and Goldings hops, and mash tuns and sparging the hops and boil-off losses. Sometime I should probably do that. Next, 1 in a Million pizza by Emma Panda. A white pizza topped with wild garlic, truffles, mushrooms, parmesan and lots of aromatic herbs, rosemary and basil, then drizzled with a hot honey nduja sauce. It honestly sounds completely mouth-watering. Next, 1 Million couscous by Evil Pingu. And what I like about this one is that the main part of the recipe is a set of detailed instructions on measuring and calculating an amount of couscous that would contain, within a margin of error, 1 million grains. The flavour part of the recipe is left completely open to me, and there are bonus points if I can get the couscous for less than £1. I appreciate that the last step in this recipe is eat. It's surprising how many recipes omit that step. Anonymous concept submission for homemade bubble tea with the recipe left open, but a suggestion for integrating foraged or garden produce. I'm thinking elderflower and rhubarb might be good. Next, cream puffs by Small Doggo. This one is a product of serendipity born of a mistake of putting cream puffs in the same container as an apple galette and accidentally combining the flavours, in particular the cinnamon. This recipe is a job for an experienced patissier and comprises a choux bun with a spiced creme pat and served with an optional topping of macerated fruit. I actually think the apple might be the perfect addition. Next, My Nan's Mock Crab Sandwich by Ginge23. Supposedly this came about during rationing, and it's reported to be weird, cheap and satisfying. This is a sandwich on white bread filled with a mixture of cheddar mashed with vinegar until it resembles crab meat, and seasoned with black pepper plus chives or spring onions if available and desired. I can sort of see how the moisture in the vinegar might make the cheese go pale and a little bit springy, and of course the vinegar itself evokes the flavours of seafood. Really interesting idea, and I probably will try this one sometime. A conceptual suggestion from Noodle Soup with a little assistance from ChatGPT, tailored to the various themes of the channel, in the form of a cooking challenge that incorporates foraging, spam, nostalgia, garden produce, weird things in cans and other stuff. With a ban on sulfites to make it Jenny compatible, I like the idea of challenges that aren't just budgets. Next, Foraged Berry Soufflé by Blue Dream Bandit, adapted from Adam Ragusia's Berry Soufflé, but with a special focus on the berries you've probably all seen me forage on the channel. Solid recipe, and especially with bilberries, it's nice to be able to use them in a dish like this because the harvest isn't usually huge, so they need something to sort of carry them along a bit. Next, Bacon Wrapped Meat Buns by Dead Peppermint. This one had me scratching my head for a moment until I properly understood what's being described here. So these are bread rolls, split and filled with the meat and vegetable filling. So far, a bit like Sloppy Joe's. But then the bun's closed up and wrapped in bacon, then baked in the oven to crisp it up. It sounds bonkers, and I love it just for that. Wild Greens and Mushroom Tart with Spanish Flair by Number 6. This sounds like a lovely savoury tart, filled with a lot of my favourite things. Cheese and wild greens, chorizo and spiced with cumin and smoked paprika. A superb collection of flavours that look to be wonderfully complementary and balanced. It just sounds totally delicious. Millionaire Shortbread by Nathan A. RF. An interesting take on a very popular sweet treat. This one includes peanut butter in the gooey layer and also rosemary in the shortbread base. I've had rosemary shortbread a couple of times and it is intriguingly delicious. Nice recipe. Nextly, Millionaire's Forager's Tart by SGT. This is a savoury tart of foraged greens, mushrooms, crumbly white cheese and onions set in an egg mix, so sort of a quiche, but with a celebratory garnish of drizzled honey and edible gold flakes. I can't say I would have thought of adding honey to a savoury tart like this, but looking at all the other ingredients in there, like the Wensleydale and the thyme and garlic, honey would be a wonderful finishing touch. Shrimp Gumbo Risotto by Sarsaparilla. This is a collision of different recipes and food cultures, which is absolutely a thing I love. So this is a gumbo, including the obligatory trinity and okra, but using risotto rice and parmesan and butter, topped with spiced fried shrimp. It sounds really good, and I am very much in favour of this sort of thing. Somewhat fancier French toast, anonymous. So this is a French toast, or as we call it in the UK, eggy bread recipe, but starting with a jam sandwich instead of just a slice of bread, sort of croc something or other. It sounds divine, and I think I might snip this recipe as a birthday breakfast or for some other special occasion. Now, putting the atomic in Atomic Shrimp by A Flying Brick. This one started out as a concept, which was to make recipes using foods that are known to be mildly radioactive. There's nothing especially dangerous about that. We are talking about things like bananas, which contain small amounts of a radioactive isotope of potassium, and Brazil nuts, which contain traces of radium. The concept was then expanded into a menu comprising beer-battered shrimp. Apparently, shrimp contain traces of plutonium, so literal atomic shrimp, battered banana fritters, roast potatoes and carrots, which vegetables also contain small amounts of radioactive potassium, with a side of Brazil nuts. None of this radiation is a serious concern for anyone eating less than a wheelbarrow full of any of the ingredients, but I do like the literal nature of the atomic shrimp interpretation here. So, those are all the runners-up for the food and recipe competition. Before we get to the prize winners, let's look at the creative artwork competition. And again, remember, there is to be no shame on placement. I am grateful to have seen and appreciated all of the entries. Starting with Thanks a Million, an anonymous submission, simple but lovely, happy little shrimp. A little bit of outro music by Joseph Redmond TV, which is a lovely balance between upbeat and chill. Let's have a listen. Check out Joseph's channel on YouTube. A celebratory fireworks simulation, also from Joseph Redmond TV. Code available on GitHub, it looks like. Everyone say, ooh, now, ah. Check out Joseph's GitHub. Atomic Shrimp Cake by Joblo Twix. It's a carrot cake that starts with the girthiest carrot, and along the way it went a bit wrong. So it entered the competition as an art submission rather than a recipe, in a nod to how I tend to publish videos, even if they're catastrophic in their conclusion. Anyway, this cake is iced with a representation of the Atomic Shrimp logo, and it contains a vitamin blend that fluoresces under ultraviolet light. Atomic Shrimp's Golden YouTube button by Teggie, using ChatGPT and DALL-E. Very shrimpy, and also quite atomic, I think. Happy 1 Mil by Snailjuices, which looks to be a craft project involving servos and lolly sticks, and I presume an Arduino somewhere. There's also this snappy version with added light and sound. Mike's Journey by Yggrek, an illustration they would like to see in a book about atomic shrimp, and featuring that wonky little boat I made years ago, the Snow Pea. Lovely. You can find music by Yggrek by searching for Yggrek or Atomic Mermaid, no relation, on your music streaming service. Little sketch by Whirlybird, containing a number of the regular channel themes down there, some lovely mushrooms, a weird can of what looks like rainbow tentacles, and a screen with scam on it, all under the Atomic Shrimp logo. Nice one. You can follow Whirlybird under the handle _galaxy_milkshake on TikTok and Instagram. 1 million play button is the best colour by Zuzu. This is a Dorset button, a literal button, which is created by stitching Icelandic wool around a ring. It's a really old technique for making buttons, very lovely. Check out Zuzu's YouTube channel. Check out Zuzu's YouTube channel. That was not easy to say. 3D render made in Blender by Shaardvark. An apocalyptic, I think, scene of me riding a giant green shrimp across a mostly barren landscape. Or is this just a scene at a rock pool at the beach where I've been shrunken down? Either way, my trusty shrimp steed is definitely not going to eat me one day. Atomic Shrimp Comes Up a Million by Seibutsu. A painting of me showcasing many of the channel themes. Is that a Brabantia classic I see there? And Eva there, just about to go bork. Check out merch, prints and original art for sale at seibutsu-shop.fourthwall.com. Atomic Shrimp Cooking Game by Nuke Explosions and Partner Purple, described as a digital replication of one of the budget challenges. Okay, hang on, we got to play this. Okay, here we go. Oh, purple progress bar, the best colour. Atomic Shrimp Cooking Challenge, start. Choose your budget. Oh, what should we do? £1? Got to have one onion. Did not eating cucumber. Celery. What have I got? I've got that's spent 65 pence. Oh, I think we could have then. We'd better have a potato. Eva brought you dandelions while foraging. Okay. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Oh, do I? Yeah. I stir it. Oh, it's all flying out. Cooking finished. Your dish was pretty subpar. Well, yeah. Okay. You made pan-fried potato, onion and dandelions with celery as garnish. Your dish has 32 calories. It's not very nutritious and tastes terrible. Final score, 8 points. Yeah. Okay, let's play that again. Right, we'll splash out and go for a £5 budget this time. Mushrooms. Pasta. Spam. Oh, in the clearance section we've got cheese. We'll have some milk. Shrimp. And we'll have some other vegetables as well. Why can't I have tomatoes? Oh, I haven't got enough left. Oh no, 14 pence left. I've committed now to... Is there anything I can get for 14 pence? Clearance. A carrot. 3 pence left in the budget, not bad. Okay. Right. Grab the handle and stir. Let's just try to do it gently this time. Oh, I burnt it. It's all burning away. Oh dear. There's only a carrot left and it's burnt. You made deep fried pasta, cheese, carrot, milk, mushrooms and spam with stinging nettles as a garnish. Your dish has 64 calories, it's not very nutritious and it tastes terrible. Not very good at this, am I? Okay, one more go. Let's just go for mushrooms and a potato with a penny left in the budget. Finish shopping. Right, Eva brought me ground elder. Okay. Right, come on. Let's see if we can do this time. Right. I just need to stir gently so it doesn't burn. Okay. It's just a case of making sure it doesn't burn. Okay. Okay. Wow, better. You made grilled mushrooms and potato with ground elder as a garnish. Your dish has 173 calories and it's somewhat nutritious and it tastes alright. I wonder if it's Jenny that said that. Anyway, well, that was a bit of fun. I think I might have mentioned before, I'm not very good at games. There is a link in the description, so you can play too if you want to. Found Objects Atomic Shrimp by Smaragdi. A shrimp made from various household objects appreciating a freshly picked strawberry. I like all of it, but I especially like that the shrimp is described as appreciating the strawberry. Not eating it or anything, just appreciating. I appreciate that. Lego Atomic Shrimp's Atomic Shrike. Shrimp plus bike equals Shrike. Get it? It does actually look a bit like me, including two of the most realistic parts. No hair, and also leaving the vehicle to look at leaves. That totally tracks. So now we get to the top 3 of each competition, the prize-winning entries, in reverse order. In third place, in the creative artwork category, Mike as a Dinosaur by George Kelly. This is a Fimo model of a little purple dinosaur, the best colour, with a walking spoon, and even a little shirt with amazing attention to detail on the pattern. Simply delightful. Follow George Kelly 5870 on Instagram. In second place, this crochet tapestry piece by Freddy Cat with a superb rendition of my logo, bordered by some of the channel themes, and the letter O in million looks like a smaller version of the green atomic shrimp from the logo. Really lovely, fantastic work. And in first place, winner of the art competition, this lovely painting by CityofIllustrations, celebrating many of the channel themes: gardening, weird cans, budget cooking, foraging, and a bounteous basket, scams, and Eva looking a bit like an otter here, which is sort of fun because I often think of her that way myself. Also, thank you for this speed paint video of the work being created. Check out the links to City of Illustrations socials listed here and the web shop in the video description. So, congratulations to the winners and my warmest thanks and appreciation to all of the entrants. Stay creative. Now, back to the recipe competition for the top 3 winning places there, starting with Full English in the Hole by Korhaka. So this is a collision of 2 British favourite recipes, the Full English Breakfast and Toad in the Hole. The latter of which, if you're not familiar, consists of sausages baked in a dish of light and crispy batter. But this recipe takes that to another level by incorporating the mushrooms and sausages and tomatoes into the batter, then baking it and filling or perhaps topping it with bacon, eggs, black pudding, baked beans and hash browns. It sounds delicious and indulgent, and I know I would eat past the pain with this one. In second place by Ding Dong, a recipe for the wobbliest hot dog. This entry started as just a concept of making sausages with the specific objective of shooting for the max score on my hot dog wobbling machine, the WobbleDog 9003i. But also includes a recipe selected by Ding Dong. I've never really tried in earnest to make proper sausages in casings, but this looks to be a great recipe for beef frankfurters, with some interesting commentary on how they might be tweaked to make them more wobbly. Good stuff. And in first place, an atomic shrimp fried this rice by Sharky. Described as an unholy combination of this meme and a recipe called Shrimp Circle that I mentioned finding in one of my vintage cookbooks. So this is a presentation of fried rice with shrimps in it. I actually thought those were slices of avocado when I first saw the picture, but they are shrimps or prawns with green food colouring. I'm going to attempt to make this recipe, but I also particularly appreciate some of the small details in it, including a bonus for foraging, girthy carrot, one onion, or wonyon, and having time elapsed. And in particular, that instead of a shout out to a website or anything like that, Sharky just wanted to plug the concept of being kind to each other and yourselves, which honestly always bears repeating, and it is indeed free. Off to the kitchen now. Atomic Shrimp is going to fry some rice. So our challenge is to take this "Are you telling me an atomic shrimp fried this rice" recipe concept and make it into a fried rice dish that's more than just a concept, without destroying the visual appeal of it, which is the green shrimps on the red background. Green shrimps, tricky without food colouring. I don't want to use food colouring. Not a great fan of artificial food colourings myself, but here's my plan. The shrimps I've got are these Argentinian red shrimp. They're raw. Even though they're quite pink already, they're raw shrimps. I assume that's actually some kind of crayfish. Anyway, going to drain these and dry them a bit and then marinate them. That's the first step. Actually, not quite true. The first step in a fried rice recipe is to get some rice that's been cooked and chilled. So we're just going to go back in time to yesterday. I want to make some red rice for this stir fry. It's yesterday, by the way. I'm going to start off with this mug full of rice, and I'm going to wash that. So I'll just put some cold water on that, let it soak for a few minutes, then wash off the loose starch. While that's happening, let's think about what we're going to put in this rice to make it red. Sharky used red food colouring, but I have permission to modify the recipe with natural ingredients, so we're going to use tomato puree. And I've got a red pepper that I earlier flame roasted with my blowtorch. And now when we take this out, that charred skin is just going to scrape off ever so easily, leaving behind a delightfully sweet and slightly smoky flavoured pepper. But also it's a little bit cooked, which is going to make the next step a little bit easier to handle. So we'll just scrape off the majority of that burnt skin. Fire roasting peppers with the blowtorch like that is the easiest way I've found of doing it. I've tried a few other methods like the oven, and I don't have a gas hob anymore, so I can't do it on that. But yeah, I find that's the blowtorch is the best tool for getting an even char all over the pepper. Split it open. I think we'll just lose those seeds as well. There we are. We're left with lovely tender red pepper with no skin on it, and it's kind of semi-cooked, because what I'm going to do next is blend this up to a puree. So it's time for everyone's favourite recurring inanimate character, hand blender. So these pieces without the seeds are going to go into there. A nice squirt of tomato puree in there as well. We'll have some sweet paprika, about a teaspoonful, and also, just because it's red, we'll have about a teaspoonful of gochujang. Right, going to need a bit of water in that, and then using hand blender, we'll blend that to a puree. That ought to do it. Right, this rice has been washed and rinsed until the water ran clear. That will help to make it less sticky and keep the grains separate when they're cooked, although we're adding sticky stuff to it, so it could be a problem. We need to add, in theory, twice as much volume of water as rice, but I'm going to go for about 1 3/4. So that's 1. And then that's about 3/4 of the amount of rice that was in the cup. That now goes on the stove. We'll bring that to the boil and then turn it down and simmer it until nearly all of the liquid is absorbed, and then turn it off and let it just steam and absorb the rest of the liquid. And in theory, we should have lovely red rice at the end of this. Now we do also need something green to make the shrimps green, representing the green shrimp in the Atomic Shrimp logo. This is wild garlic that I blanched and froze a month or 2 ago. So we'll have some of that out to thaw. And this is green garlic butter, again made with the same wild garlic a little bit before that. So I'll get some of that out to thaw as well. So that's my green, and that rice has now absorbed nearly all the liquid. So I've turned the heat off. We're just going to now let that stand. It will just absorb hopefully the rest of that liquid. Then I'm going to cool it down quickly and chill it overnight. So back to the future. That's my cooled, cooked red rice. That's about half of it. Put it into big flat containers like this because it cools down a lot quicker, and then it can be chilled. Anyway, we need to make a green marinade. So, hand blender again. This is the Ramson's wild garlic that I took out the freezer yesterday, so that's been thawing overnight. Hand blender again, the real star of the show. Okay, a little bit clogged up in the blades here, so I'm just going to have to just get it unclogged out of those holes. We'll have a tiny bit of sesame oil in there. Normally I'd go for soy sauce if we're doing a fried thing, but I think I'm going to put Worcester in just because it's not so dark, but also it's got some spiciness to it, and we're not necessarily going for an Asian style fried rice thing here. And a tiny little bit of cider vinegar. Hopefully that will give me enough volume now to be able to blend. Right, we kind of got there in the end, mostly. So my shrimps, which were frozen when I bought them, but I thawed them, drained them, and just patted them dry. They're still quite moist. So this green garlic marinade is going to go in there. It needs some seasoning. So for seasoning, I'm going to use this bouillon powder, which is a kind of yellowish colour, so it's in keeping with the general greenish theme of things. Wow, that's a bit greener than I thought it was going to be. Okay, well, so now those are marinating. We're just going to set that aside for a few minutes while we prepare the rice. So all my friends are here: large onion and kind of girthy carrot, and stick of celery. Actually, do you know what? This stick of celery, I'm going to have those green bits off of there, the leafy bits. That will go into my salad garnish. Let's pick a little salad from the garden. The watercress still isn't really doing all that well. I need to sort this out. But we've got some lovely lettuce and salad greens here. I'll come back for a bit of that in a moment. We've got broad beans. Now, not a salad crop as such, but these top shoots here can be pinched out and just used as a salad green. They will need a little bit of a wash because they've got all sorts of bugs on them. Just pick a few of these tops. I've also got the shoots of these peas. Now pea shoots, if we just take, let's have a look. Just take like the top shoot like that. That's delicious as a little garnish or a salad. So we'll have a few of these. And this is not going to harm the plants at all. In fact, pinching out the tops here will encourage the plants to produce side shoots, which means we'll get just more branches, more flowers, more peas. Pea shoots are actually something you get in quite fancy restaurants sometimes, just like that on the plate with the little tendrils. This is a pak choi that's bolted, but it's being enjoyed by a little hoverfly there. I think we could have some of the flowers of this pak choi actually, so it's not why I grew the pak choi, but it's a very cheerful little flower, isn't it? That'll be quite nice for brightening up the dish we're making. So I'll cut those off because they've got some open flowers. I'll get those in water when we get them indoors. Right, what else? Well, we've got some radishes here, which I'm growing mainly to let them go to seed. Could cut a radish leaf or two. We could have a little bit of weeds. So I've got, this is goosefoot here. I'll have that. So we've got some chard here. I'm just going to pick one or two of the nicer, smaller leaves. I could have a bit of green onion off of these spring onions here, or indeed off of the red onion that I planted there, but I think we'll leave that. But I think we will probably just come back and have some actual conventional salad greens here. Look at these lettuce, they're fantastic. So most of these are just ordinary cost type lettuce. This was a pack of mixed salad greens, cut and come again greens, and actually in there we've got, this is a kind of Chinese leaf, this is pak choi I think, that's a mustard of some sort there. This mix is kind of intended that you'd just take individual leaves, leave the main plant growing so that we can come back and have another crop on another day. That looks like chickweed. Is that chickweed? Let's cut some and have a look. So you can recognise chickweed if it has a little line of hairs going up one side of the stem. Yes, it is. That's chickweed. So we'll have that. So actually quite convenient to have chickweed growing in amongst our salad vegetables here anyway. Another one of these leaves as well. I suppose we better have a lettuce leaf or two, hadn't we? There we go. So that's my makings of my salad garnish. The rest of it, I'm going to dice up to small pieces. Okay, that's pretty much all my ingredients prepared. Let's go and cook some rice. So I'm going to use, oh yeah, for the rice, the seasoning in the rice, I'm going to use Old Bay, which it's got paprika and garlic and a little bit of chili in there. But it's, again, it's a reddish colour, so it's in keeping with the colour that we want to go for, as well as the flavour. I mean, ideally the Old Bay should have gone on the prawns, but we want them to be green. I'm not very sure that's very appetising, but we'll see. One thing I should say, actually, Sharky's recipe was presented in a ring mould because it was a nod to a couple of really weird recipes from a book I haven't yet featured on the channel, but I've spoken about in Discord. I could not find a ring mould anywhere. I did look and look. I suppose I could have gone to a specialist cook shop and bought one, but instead I went to a charity shop and bought a vintage jelly mould, which it's not the ring mould, but I think hopefully it will still serve the purpose for presenting a plate full of this anyway. From here, things will proceed at quite a pace. So from frying my rice, I'm going to use my big square pan. I don't have a wok, and this stove is not particularly suitable for woks. So just a little bit of neutral oil in my big pan. This pan, yeah, although it's not a wok, it's my most suitable pan for frying rice because it gets nice and hot. Meanwhile, this pan is going to be the one that has the shrimps, but I'm not going to do them until the rice is done. But what we can do is put some of that garlic butter in there. I won't turn that on just yet, obviously. So, hardest vegetable in first, carrots, diced onion. We'll just wait for that onion to soften a little bit. That's good. I think the celery can go in now as well. And then some diced red chilli. This is kind of cayenne, moderate heat, and I have taken the seeds out because there is already some chilli in with the rice. Now there's some frozen sweet corn going in. And now that Old Bay seasoning, and I stir that around to get that coating in the vegetables. And now my rice, my red rice. I might have a little bit of this out of the other box as well, just to make sure there's enough rice. I'm just going to spread a little bit of butter on the inside of this jelly mould, really just to make sure that everything releases, but also when that comes out, that's going to give it a little bit of a shine. Right, that'll do it. I'm turning the heat off under that rice now. I'm going to put the lid on just to keep it warm. So, we'll get the garlic butter melted. Now there is a bit of liquid in the bottom of these shrimps here from the marinade, so I'm going to drain these again. So that's my green garlic butter starting to foam, and now the prawns are going to go in there, make sure they're all in contact with the pan. Because there's quite a lot of moisture here from the garlic and from the prawns themselves, we are kind of poaching them almost in butter. Okay, I can see that they're actually starting to look cooked on the first side, so I'll flip them all over. It's a bit of a funny thing really. Sharky's recipe started off as a concept. Now we did allow for the competition just to have conceptual recipes in there, but conceptual recipes were disqualified from winning one of the prize places. So originally this went in as a conceptual recipe, but lots and lots of people, I didn't participate by the way, I stayed completely kind of neutral, and I stayed out of the whole competition. Lots and lots of people urged Sharky to turn it into an actual recipe, to fill it out with a recipe and make it a contender for the competition, and ended up winning. There you go. And what I'm doing today is I'm kind of taking this somewhere else other than where it started. I am recreating the recipe as best I can using things that will naturally provide those colours that I think are the defining characteristic of the dish. So those are done. Heat off. Now we need to plate up. So into my buttered dish we'll just have an arrangement of these fried green shrimps. Something like that. We might be able to go up the sides a little bit. I think we can have a little bit of this garlic butter stuff on them there. And then the red-ish fried rice to fill the dish up. Pack that down, because we've got to try to turn this out, which is going to be the tricky moment of truth, and it may go horribly wrong. Give that a good press down. Stand a bit more in there. I shall actually just use the base of one of these quick wipe round, and then the turnout. This may not go well. Surprisingly not bad. And then just going to tear up some of these larger leaves of salad here. Smaller leaves and the pea shoots and things can just go on there as they are. The green leaves of the celery. Do you know, some people think you can't eat these. And then just to kind of evoke the red orbitals of the Atomic Shrimp logo, I'll have 3 bits of red pepper and also these pak choi flowers. There we go. How's that? Okay, well, here we go then. So I hope I've done this justice, Sharky. Thank you so much for your winning entry, and congratulations on winning. And thank you to all of the participants of the contest, and of course all of my subscribers for supporting me in this journey to 1 million subscribers. Anyway, let's get tasting it. I'm very curious to taste one of these green garlic shrimps first. That's good. Surprisingly not overwhelmingly garlic, and the rice I don't think it's going to be quite such a surprise. Although using the tomato and the pepper to colour it as well as flavour it has really given it a great depth of flavour. So there we go. Are you trying to tell me an Atomic Shrimp fried this rice? Yes, yes I am. Thank you so much for supporting me on this journey, and thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.